Greetings, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me today for the third day of DrawPaintMas. So I hope you're excited. This is actually going to be a two-parter, and I'll explain that to you in a little bit. Just a moment. Yeah, well, my phone's ringing, but no worries. Let's get going. Okay. So this is approximately what we're going to be doing today. And but first I want to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Christine Elder, and I'm a naturalist, environmental educator, and visual artist in Central Oregon. And I love bird watching. You maybe joined me yesterday for our two turtle doves sketching exercise. So I love bird watching. I love birds, drawing them and painting them. This bird here is actually a scratchboard illustration of a barn owl that I did in the 90s, actually. So, and I love traveling to the northern realms where our featured species lives, this northern snowy owl. And so this is a picture of me in Alaska, and I was actually teaching a bird drawing workshop in Alaska. So I love these areas where these birds live. And so this is, again, part of my 12 Days of Christmas, the naturalist version, also called the 12 Days of DrawPaintMas, because we're drawing and painting. And so you can also see the future and previous videos on Facebook and YouTube as we go. So anyway, today's snowy owl and tomorrow are hollies, because those are really beautiful and signify the holiday season, and we'll be drawing and painting those as well. Do make sure to say hello in the chat box if you are able to. I'd love to know if you have seen our featured species of the day, the snowy owl. So first, I'm going to be talking about the materials we're using, and there's actually a lot of materials. And so I did decide to break this up into two sessions. And so the second session, where we're drawing and painting, will be a little bit later today, and I'll send you a link. But I want to go over the materials just so it'll be more likely that you'll be able to gather those so that you can draw and paint along with us. So first, you're going to want a sharp sketching pencil. We're going to draw the owl in pencil and then shade it with either black and white charcoal pencils or shading pencils, whatever you have. And then a fine-tipped ink pen. I use that for the pupils and the beak of the bird and the nails. They've got really sharp claws for catching those lemmings. And then you're going to want some watercolors. You're only going to need a few colors, kind of the night sky, kind of blues and purples and blacks. And then if you want to do the owl in watercolor, you can, but I decided to do it in pencil. And then you're going to want paper, of course, and there's a few different kinds of papers that you can use. Sorry, I'm trying to get this I can't figure it out. Too many buttons. Anyway, I experimented with using both this smooth Bristol board paper as well as this cold press watercolor paper. And I definitely got different looks to them. I'll show you those in a second. But if you're going to do the watercoloring, you'll probably want to tape down your edges, because this is a wet and wet technique, and so your paper will wrinkle. And then often when I'm done, I will use a hair blow dryer, to flatten it really nicely. And if it's taped down, it'll flatten perfectly like these did. And then I like having an old toothbrush or a fan-shaped brush like this one to put the snow on. We're looking at snow. It could be stars, but since we're drawing the snowy owl, we could use that. And then I like to use this really opaque white paint. It's Dr. P.H. Martin's, but you might have an acrylic paint or something. If you don't have those, you could also put the snow on with like a Uniposca pen or charcoal pencils or white acrylic, whatever you have. But it's fun to add that snow since we are drawing the snowy owl. I'd like to say hello in the chat box to Joey from cold and snowy Michigan. Yes. So sometimes these owls do come as far south as Michigan. We'll talk about their biology in a minute. So anyway, those are all the supplies. And a bigger brush is best, as big as you can get, because it's easier to get those wet washes on all at once. So again, I'm going to do the drawing and painting separately. I think it's good to divide them up. Otherwise, this will be really long. And I'd really like you to be able to follow along live with me if you can. And even if you don't collect your supplies, you might still want to watch part 2 just to see me doing the drawing and painting. And Nanette says hello from the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's cold there. And Cindy says hello from New Hampshire. Yeah, today is actually partly cloudy. There is a lot of blue sky. And it's pretty warm, actually. I'm kind of hot in this outfit. I am wearing my owl artwork that I got in Fairbanks from a wonderful local artist. And this is an owl flying with a bunch of lemmings. You can't really see it very clearly, but I thought I'd wear that for today. So anyway, speaking of materials, so I did 2 examples. I did one on the flatter side of my cold press watercolor paper, just to kind of see and compare how the pencil drawing of the owl and the watercolor background looked compared to the smooth. This is the smooth Bristol board. And so I think I really liked being able to draw in pencil on the smooth Bristol board. I haven't finished this drawing yet, but I think the shading goes on a lot better. When I tried the shading on this bumpier watercolor paper, it just didn't look as realistic. And so, I don't know. I think the watercolor background would probably look pretty similar between the two. Another thing I added on this one was salt. So if you have large grains of salt, you can sprinkle that on as you're just finished painting, and that will add these little star-like looks to it. In fact, you can even leave some of them. I left some of the salt on here. And I put a moon in there too. Hi, Kat. Thanks for popping in. And yeah, maybe you can join us later for the drawing. Yes, I will again be doing that later. Okay, so where am I here? We're going to keep going. Sorry. I can never figure out which one it is. There we go. Okay, so that's the supplies. Again, if you have any questions about what supplies to have, that's good. You can ask those. One other thing is I generally tape my paper onto something hard. So I have this hard board here and then a little softer board on top. And I will tape my artwork on here again, so it's super sturdy surface, and that the paint doesn't wrinkle, or the watercolor doesn't wrinkle. Okay, so anyway, the snowy owl, that's our subject today for day number 3 of our 12 days of DrawPaintMas. So let's talk a bit about this owl. I chose this owl partly because one of my members in my Nature Notebook Club suggested it, and that's one of the benefits of being in my paid programs is you get to have more input about what I do. So I added that. So anyway, this owl is just iconic of winters. And since we're doing a lot of these 12 days of DrawPaintMas related to not just Christmas, but winter as well, and northern realms where you get a lot of snow. This owl is just totally iconic. And it is the largest and heaviest of our North American owls. There are some other owls, like the Eurasian eagle owl in Europe, that gets a lot bigger. But this is our largest owl, and it is closely related to the barn owl, which is also partly white. So it's the heaviest North American owl, and it can get up to 4 pounds. Hello, Edith from Placerville. Thank you so much for joining today. And so they have a white coloration for camouflage because they live in the open tundras. They like really open areas, not too much forest, because they fly and hunt their prey by flying and then landing on them. And they just like really big, wide open spaces. So they're going to be in tundra and agricultural fields and grasslands and marshes, and even along the coast and along the coasts of lakes, like the Great Lakes. And so they breed in the far north of their habitat or their range. And their range is across Alaska and Canada and down into northern North America when they have what we call eruptions, when they come farther south. In fact, there's even been sightings as far south as Texas and Florida. And then they do go over across Canada and Greenland and Newfoundland, and then over to Northern Europe, like Norway, and all the way across Russia. Now, unfortunately, I just read that they have been extirpated from Sweden, which is really sad. So they need really good habitat. And so they've been hunted extensively too, not just in Sweden, but wherever they live. They've been highly persecuted and hunted, not only for taxidermied specimens, but for food and for their eggs. So they are partly declining from climate change as well, because when there's less snow, and then it gets cold and hot and cold and hot, and it ices over, that's bad, because they need really soft snow to jump on their prey. They can hear them from above, and going into the soft snow, where the lemmings especially are making tunnels through the snow. So if there's no snow, there's no lemmings, and if it's too wet and warm, the tunnels don't hold up for the lemmings, and so they are threatened, just like the Eurasian turtle dove we were talking about yesterday. So here is another view. So they do differ with the males and the females. Females in most birds are generally a little bigger. I think that's true here too, but the main difference is their coloration. So in the juveniles, both male and female will have some of this black barring on their head and their chest and their wings, but the females keep that barring colors, that black barring. And here's one, a female, or this could be a juvenile, that has landed to try to capture some prey. And it's really happy about it. So it's smiling. So anyway, and you can see the snow, like the snow we're going to be adding in our painting. So what do they eat? Well, they eat hares, like this hare. And in fact, in one of our 12 days of DrawPaintMas, we're going to draw the, I believe it's the Arctic hare, but the snowshoe and the Arctic hare are in these habitats, and they eat both of those. But mainly they're eating smaller things like lemmings and voles, sometimes weasels and squirrels, as well as waterfowl, both along the ocean coasts, so seabirds, as well as freshwater birds. So they have a pretty wide diet. And they are so large, I forgot to say before, partly to keep them warmer. So often things in colder environments are larger, just like the woolly mammoth was so large that lived in the Ice Age. So a larger, heavier body is going to be able to stay warm better. Okay, and then what else did I want to say? Oh yeah, and so in our background of our when we paint is going to be inspired by this night sky, so you can kind of see how that uh, teal and ultramarine and purple sky, and then you can see the moon, and you can also see some of the patterns in the moon. Although we won't draw any trees because, like I said before, the snowy owls live in more open habitats. But when we do the northern lights, we will be painting a line of trees along the horizon. I think that's in a couple days. Okay. Now, I do want to go over my handout again because you can look at the pictures. I'm going to show you in a moment. We'll talk about these things as it relates to this bird. But in general, I like to have people think about my 6-step roadmap to sketching success. Where you first draw lightly and loosely, you keep your pencil moving as if you're drawing in the field and your bird might fly away at any moment. Try to avoid erasing until you've got most of your try lines and your proportions down. Making sure you're glancing back and forth, spending most of your time looking at your subject and less time looking at your paper. Envision sculpting from the inside out as if you were Michelangelo sculpting marble. And then, as usual, have fun. Okay, and so anyway, these are my 6 steps, and we'll talk about them when we look at the photo of the owl next. So blocking in your basic shapes, your circles, triangles, ovals, rectangles. And as you're doing that, thinking about the relative proportions of each shape, thinking about what structures are aligned with other structures, looking at negative shapes or those shapes that aren't your bird, like the shape between the 2 legs, like we noticed yesterday if you helped, if you drew the turtle doves with me. And then noticing angles, and then flow lines, which is my idea of kind of like imagining how your pencil is flowing either softly or a little bit more abruptly around your animal as if it was water flowing around a boulder. Okay. All righty. And so here is the drawing we're going to be working on. Well, I mean, this is our reference photo. It's actually a drawing or painting. I think it's partly a painting. I think there might be some pencil in there too. This isn't mine. This was just a stock image actually, but I couldn't find a good image that I was allowed to use that was in the right pose that I wanted. So anyway, you can do either one, but in my demonstration, I did this one where he's looking kind of to the right. And I think because I'm right-handed, for some reason, it's a little bit easier for me to draw animals that are looking right. So anyway, let's kind of notice some of these things about them in terms of those 6 steps to sketching success. So when we're blocking in these proportions, notice the head. Now it's not really a circle. It's actually wider a little bit than it is tall. And like we were mentioning yesterday, birds can have more or less of a neck depending on what they're doing. So they can really stretch their neck out. Or if it's cold and they're just hunkered down and resting, they can bring their head down into their body and have a shorter neck. So looking at that head really closely, if you divide it in half, kind of across like this, line vertically and horizontally, you'll see that that bill is right in the middle, and it's very black and sharp and triangular. And then noticing the eyes. So the eyes could be a little bit higher or lower, depending on if the bird is sort of looking up or looking down. We pretty much have him, or her, actually, this is probably a her with all the barring. The adult males, as they get older, are completely snow white. So this is either a juvenile or a female. But anyway, noticing the eyes, look at their size whenever you're drawing them. So what I notice with these eyes is the circle of the eye is not quite a circle, and the outer edge is a little bit higher than the inner edge. And notice when you're drawing the eyes in terms of how big to make them, kind of notice how far in they are from the edge of the forehead and down from the top of the head. So what I kind of notice about this is I think there's about 5 eyes worth of width across the head. So kind of an eye, an eye, an eye, an eye, an eye. That's how I think of it, is that that's kind of how big the eyes are, that there's sort of an eye width between the 2 eyes, and then there's an eye width on either side of the head. Although this bird looks like it's slightly looking to our right or its left. So you actually see a little bit more of its side of its head on this side than you do on this side. It's super subtle. But anyway, you don't have to do it exactly. Just trying to get the general proportions right, and noticing again where those eyes are in relationship to the forehead and the edge. And then you'll also notice there's kind of some lighter eyebrows, kind of a V, actually kind of an X. There's an X that comes down, and there's the white eyebrows above the eyes, and then there's kind of a mustache below. And then noticing there's this circle around each eye. So that's kind of the facial disc. It's a little bit like the barn owl, again, because they're in the same genus. And so they've got this sort of highlight of feathers. And then you can't see it, but they do have ears. All birds have ears. They're just covered by feathers, and they're kind of outside this facial disc around this area. And owls have ears that are a little bit different heights from each other to help them really pinpoint the location of their prey. But again, we can't see those, but just remember they do have ears. They also have nostrils, so they can smell, but those nostrils are covered by these fine, sharp feathers that look like little individual hairs. And that's something later on you can add with a fine-tipped pen or a pencil. So anyway, it's really good to look really closely at an animal before you start drawing it. And that's why we're taking plenty of time to understand their anatomy before we start drawing them. And again, we're going to draw them in our next event, which is a little bit later today, once I get those videos uploaded. So then looking at the body, again, we don't have it straight on. It's turned a little bit to our right. Now, remember that owls have a really flexible head. They can turn it almost, I think, 270 degrees or something. So their body can be in a very different position than the head. So anyway, the head is looking directly, almost directly at us, whereas the body is facing that way. And you can tell because we mainly see this wing here. And there's not a lot of details on the wing showing as much as that turtle dove yesterday. But you do, again, see some barring of the black dots of feathers. And then you see the secondaries, a line of secondaries here, and then the long parallel lines of the primary flight feathers. And they're not super long because they're not really fast flyers or long distance migrants. So they're pretty compact, and they have a pretty compact short tail as well. But remember, again, we're drawing a bird that is the largest North American owl, up to 4 pounds. And that's how they stay warm. Now, speaking of staying warm, their feet are also feathered. So some birds have bare legs, like the robin probably in your backyard. But some birds, especially various raptors and hawks and eagles, will have feathered, especially when they live in colder climates. So there's feathers all the way down their toes. And you notice you can see both legs. One is in shadow here and it's darker, and one is in front. And you can see just one claw facing to the left and two claws facing to the right. Now they do have 4 claws altogether, but we can't see all of those. And then lastly, the other wing. We can see just a little suggestion of this other wing, and it's shadowed. You see it's shadowed, and it's going behind both of the feet and behind the tail. That is the bird's left wing. Okay, any questions so far? Now here's a nice close-up to study. And we will have these pictures in the demo for you. But look at those beautiful, beautiful eyes. Cindy says, is the owl on the left in your screen in the document? I printed it and is the one on the right. Right. Oh, I don't remember. But I think my demonstration, I actually drew one of each. I drew one of each, the looking left and looking right, just for fun. But my demonstration, I filmed actually with this one looking the other way. So that's good practice for you if you have the reference photo and it's looking the wrong way. Like we practiced yesterday with the turtle doves looking both right and left. That's really good to practice drawing something, the mirror image of it, because if you're out in the field trying to draw, oh wait, you can't see me. It always feels weird when you can't see me. When you're out in the field trying to draw something, if a bird comes in to a tree or a branch or a feeder, they might be facing left and fly away, and then another bird might come in and be facing right. And if you're good at thinking of that in your mind and reflecting it, you can just keep working on your first drawing of the bird facing left, even though your new bird is facing right. Does that make sense, Cindy? Okay, great. So anyway, let's go to this next one. Yeah, so look at those steely eyes, and they are just gorgeous. This yellowish gold color. With really big pupils there. And then you may or may not draw it with a reflection in the pupil. Just depends on if you're going to have a bright moon on the bird's eyes, like my bird, or if it's a cloudy day, it wouldn't have much of a reflection in that pupil. But just the things to notice, just the close-up here. Again, they've got these white eyebrows. That are more obvious on the female, where she's got the barring on the top of her head in sort of a triangular pattern. And then you've got the eyes, and they are black along this lower edge. If the bird was looking up a little bit more, you would see the black on the upper edge too. But in this case, those fine feathers are kind of in the way of part of the eye, so it's not is round. It's almost triangular. And then what else to notice? Notice all these very fine, beautiful feathers that are covering the bill. And they're also covering the nostrils. They do have nostrils, again, like I said, you can't see them. You can see the nostrils in things like parrots really well. But most birds have some kind of feathering, and these owls have a lot of feathering on this bill. And then you'll also, again, notice kind of a shadow along the edge of this disc. And again, they're closely related to the barn owl, so kind of have a disc-shaped face, but you're going to see some shadowing under here. And then this female, again, the females of the snowy owl have a lot of this black barring, as we call it, bars. And those are going to be totally different each individual. So you can feel free to draw as many or as few as you want. Here's one that has a little bit less. Let's see. This one has a little bit here and there. What else? This one has a lot. So again, the more you know about the biology and behavior and anatomy of a species, the more you know if you should really draw exactly what you see, or if you can have some sort of artistic license. Because again, birds can really differ in their coloration. Even your backyard American robin, the fledglings are going to be a lot more patterned to camouflage them from predators than the adults. So it doesn't matter how many black bars you add, it just depends. Here again, here you can see some barring. And this female has a lot of barring, very interesting patterns on there's wings and the tails. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, any other questions? So hopefully I'm going to get these videos edited and uploaded, and that will give you time to collect your materials and to just keep thinking about the anatomy of this bird. And if you, during the demonstration, I do show these reference photos, but if you wanted to take a screenshot right now and start kind of thinking about it and drawing it, you could. Or take a photo with your phone. And here's the other one. And again, I'm going to be demonstrating with the bird that's closest to me. And I'm going to be putting it on the edge. So like I said, I'm going to have plenty of room to show this beautiful night sky with the snow and with the snowy ground below. And yeah, you can see I had two different ones I was practicing on with two different kinds of paper. So the types of paper and pencils and watercolors you have will really affect you. Okay, well, anyway, if there aren't any questions, I'm going to get back to you probably in a couple hours, probably no later than a couple hours. Let's say if it's 12:30 where I am now, let's say 3 p.m. I should be ready, and hopefully you might be ready as well, or you can always watch the replay at your leisure. Again, all of these videos are on my Facebook and on my YouTube. They're probably easier to find on my YouTube channel because they're all in one place under the live streams tab. And you can go back and watch the other first 2 days if you want as well. So anyway, I hope some of you will join me, let's say at 3 o'clock back here. Yeah, I'll put another link to join. Okay, well, thanks so much. We'll see you in a little bit. I hope you're more prepared now to be able to follow along live when we do the drawing, and if you wish, the painting as well. So any other questions? Okay, great. Thanks. Well, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Let's say 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye.